Good morning. Today is the 26th day of December, and again I wish all a Christmas and a new year filled with light and love and great inner progress. We continue our series of fine poetry, Part 5, Emily Dickinson. Emily Dickinson, a reclusive American poet born in Amherst, Massachusetts, was an introvert. Her family well regarded in the community, but she stayed to her room, unwilling to welcome guests or admirers. Therefore, her contacts with the world were through correspondence. Though she wrote around 1,800 poems, few of them were published in her lifetime. Though regarded as an eccentric, today she is respected as a truly original voice. Since so much has been written of her life and family and education, we concentrate in this series on her poetry. One can Google her name, especially in the excellent site poemhunter.com, and find much more. Here are some of my favorites, and I'm sure those of many admirers of her poetry. Perhaps her most famous is this one that I read first. Hope is the thing with feathers. Hope is the thing with feathers that perches in the soul and sings the tune without the words and never stops at all. And sweetest in the gale is heard, and sore must be the storm that could abash the little bird that kept so many warm. I've heard it in the chillest land and on the strangest sea, yet never in extremity it asked a crumb of me. A bird came down. A bird came down the walk. He did not know I saw. He bit an angleworm in halves and ate the fellow raw. And then he drank a dew from a convenient grass, and then hopped sideways to the wall to let a beetle pass. He glanced with rapid eyes that hurried all abroad. They looked like frightened beads, I thought. He stirred his velvet head like one in danger, cautious. I offered him a crumb, and he unrolled his feathers and rowed him softer home. Then oars divide the ocean, two silver for a seam, or butterflies off banks of noon leap splashless as they swim. "470." The title is just 470. 470. How good to be alive. How infinite to be. Alive twofold. The birth I had, and this besides in thee. Heaven has different signs to me. Heaven has different signs to me. Sometimes I think that noon is but a symbol of the place, and when again at dawn, a mighty look runs round the world and settles in the hills, and awe, if it should be like that, upon the ignorant steals. The orchard, when the sun is on, the triumph of the birds, when they together victory make, some carnivals of clouds, the rapture of a finished day, returning to the west, all these remind us of the place that men call paradise. Itself be fairer, we suppose, but how ourself shall be, adorned for a superior grace, not yet our eyes can see. Nature is what we see. Nature is what we see: the hill, the afternoon, squirrel, eclipse, the bumblebee. Nay, nature is heaven. Nature is what we hear: the bobolink, the sea, thunder, the cricket. Nay, nature is harmony. Nature is what we know, yet have no art to say. So impotent our wisdom is to her simplicity. A book. There is no frigate like a book to take us lands away, nor any coursers like a page of prancing poetry. This traverse may the poorest take, without a press of toll. How frugal is the chariot that bears a human soul. A death blow is a life blow to some. A death blow is a life blow to some, who till they died did not alive become, who had they lived had died, but when they died, vitality begun. I read my sentence steadily. I read my sentence steadily, reviewed it with my eyes, to see that I made no mistake in its extremest clause, the date and manner of the shame, and then the pious form, that God have mercy on the soul, the jury voted him. I made my soul familiar with her extremity, that at the last it should not be a novel agony, but she and death acquainted, meet tranquilly as friends, salute and pass without a hint, and there the matter ends. I reckon when I count it all. First poets, then the sun, then summer, then the heaven of God, and then the list is done. But looking back, the first so seems to comprehend the whole, the others look a needless show, so I write poets all. Their summer lasts a solid year. They can afford a sun the East would deem extravagant, and if the further heaven be beautiful as they prepare for those who worship them, it is too difficult a grace to justify the dream. I shall keep singing. I shall keep singing. Birds will pass me on their way to yellower climes, each with a robin's expectation, I with my red breast and my rhymes. Late when I take my place in summer, but I shall bring a fuller tune. Vespers are sweeter than matins, Signor. Morning only the seed of noon. I stepped from plank to plank. I stepped from plank to plank, so slow and cautiously. The stars about my head I felt, about my feet the sea. I knew not, but the next would be my final inch. This gave me that precarious gait some call experience. God made a little gentian. God made a little gentian. It tried to be a rose and failed, and all the summer laughed. But just before the snows, there came a purple creature that ravished all the hill, and summer hid her forehead, and mockery was still. It sounded as if the streets were running. It sounded as if the streets were running, and then the streets stood still. Eclipse was all we could see at the window, and awe was all we could feel. By and by, the boldest stole out of his covert to see if time was there. Nature was in an opal apron, mixing fresher air. The inundation of the spring. The inundation of the spring enlarges every soul. It sweeps the tenement away, but leaves the water whole, in which the soul, at first estranged, seeks faintly for its shore, but acclimated, pines no more for that peninsula. The clover's simple fame. The clover's simple fame, remembered of the cow, is better than enameled realms of notability. Renown perceives itself, and that degrades the flower. The daisy that has looked behind has compromised its power. September's baccalaureate. September's baccalaureate, a combination is of crickets, crows, and retrospects, and a dissembling breeze that hints without assuming an innuendo sear that makes the heart put up its fun and turn philosopher. And the last poem, very lovely poem. If all the griefs I am to have, if all the griefs I am to have would only come today, I am so happy I believe they'd laugh and run away. If all the joys I am to have would only come today, they could not be so big as this that happens to me now.